Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today's video is a part of my 3C's collaboration that I host here on YouTube. We've been doing this collaboration for a few years now, and this is the Summer 2024 edition. I've asked some of my favorite crafty YouTubers to join me in creating around the theme of Summer Sizzle. So you'll find links to everyone's videos in the description box below. I'm sure you'll get some Summer Sizzle inspiration when you visit each of the crafters' videos that will be linked below. Let's go ahead and get into my project. So we're going to start off by creating our background panel. We're going to be using 3 distress inks in Squeezed Lemonade, Abandoned Coral, and Kitsch Flamingo. These 3 colors are going to come together to give us a beautiful sunset kind of look, and that's what we're going for. So we're going to lay down a generous amount of each of these colors in about 1/3 of our cardstock here. The cardstock I'm using is Neenah Classic Crest Solar White in 80-pound weight, and I'll have everything linked for you in the description box below. So once I've gotten a good layer of Squeezed Lemonade down, I'm going to move on to Abandoned Coral. And my Abandoned Coral is pretty juicy. So it's going to go down really heavy in the beginning, and which is going to make quick work of this ink blending. By the way, this ink blending combination comes from my ink blending combination for the seasons guide that is available in my Etsy shop. It's a digital download that also comes with a private video just for the purchasers of the bundle. So I've gotten down the Kitsch Flamingo, and I've gone back over each of the colors and make sure that I have a great blend between each of them. So we're going to set that aside and let that dry, but I'm going to speed that process up a little bit by hitting this panel with my heat gun. When we get ready to do a process that we're going to do later on, we need this panel to be very, very dry. So I'm going to hit it with the heat tool, and then I'm also going to set it aside and let it dry for a little bit before we move on to the next step. So a little bit of time has passed and our panel is completely dry. So we're going to come in and we're going to do a stencil on top of the panel that we created. So we're going to use this stencil to do some clear embossing on top of our panel. So this is the Ray of Light stencil from My Favorite Things, and it's one of my favorite like sun ray type of stencils because I love the way the beams just radiate from the bottom. It does have a little bit of pixie spray on the back of it. I need to pick up another can. So in order to make sure that everything is tightly secured, I'm going to use some mint tape from scrapbook.com just to make sure that our panel is very secure and attached to the stencil. So now that I've gotten that done, I'm going to bring in some VersaMark embossing ink. So this is a clear sticky ink that you can place on images. You can stamp with it. You can use it through a stencil like I'm doing here. You can do lots of things with this. But this clear sticky ink will allow embossing powder to stick to your image. So we've kind of created our sun rays there, and now we're going to bring in the clear embossing powder. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us the image, the look of sun rays going over our inked up background. Excuse me. So this is going to cover our entire background and just give us some dimension and some texture and some glossy goodness that's going to really step up our sizzling summer effect here. Sometimes when you look out over a hot, dry area, you can see like the heat rays coming up off of the ground. This is going to give us a similar effect to that. So I've covered the whole panel and all the inked up areas with that clear embossing powder. And I've had my heat tool over to the side heating up. And now it's nice and hot. And I'm going to bring that in, and you can see that immediately that embossing powder starts to melt. And we start to get our sun rays to show up on our inked up panel. I really love the way this kind of gives us a two-tone effect with just one Those just those simple colors that we used to create our background. So now that we've done it, I kind of use that mint tape as a handle to hold everything. But now that everything is melted, let's take a quick look at this panel and kind of really see that shiny goodness that we're going to get with this effect. So one of my favorite things to have on a sizzling summer day is some ice cream. So we're going to create some ice cream cones, or a double dip ice cream cone, using this ice cream cone dies from scrapbook.com. We're going to use a larger scoop because why not? But we're going to use a larger scoop, and we're going to cut that out several times. I'm going to end up layering these up, and you'll see that in just a few moments. I had some mint green cardstock in my stash, so I pulled that out, as well as some tan kind of cardstock to be for the ice cream cone. And so both of those cardstocks just came out of my stash. I'm going to use my compact cutter from Hero Arts because it's the perfect size to cut out these dies, and it's less things I have to have or pull out. I don't have to always pull out my big Mama Jamma Platinum die cutting machine. It's nice to have some smaller tools that you can use right there on your desktop. So like I said, I'm gonna cut out these images several times, and we're gonna stack them together. So I've cut out several cones, several of the crisscrosses for the cones, and several of the scoops. I want to kind of add a little bit of dimension to the bottom of the scoop. So I'm going to bring in some cracked pistachio distress ink, and I'm going to just add a little bit of inking to the bottom of our ice cream cone. Now you can see that cone, that scoop rather, at the top left. I went a little heavy with my brush. I actually was using a different brush that collected a lot of ink, and I didn't like how heavy that application was. So I switched brushes to my Waffle Flower shader brush. This is the number 1, and I just used that to give me a lighter application of that cracked pistachio on my scoops. I'm now going in with Vintage Photo on my crisscrosses, or the hashes of the ice cream cone, and that's going to make those stand out a lot from the ice cream cone, since they both were cut from the same piece of cardstock. So I'm just adding some ink to those, and I'm going to add a little bit of ink to the cones as well, just to kind of give them some dimension and definition. And that's going to take care of all the cones. So we're going to go ahead and layer up our scoops as well as our ice cream cones. And I'm going to be using some Artiste glue from scrapbook.com. This is a good universal adhesive that is going to work great for stacking these layers together. And so that layer that I lay down too much ink on, that's just going to get a layer, scoop laid on top of it, and no one will ever know. I switched to my Barely Arts glue to do the hashing, or the cross marks, because I really love that fine nozzle tip that comes with this glue, and so that's going to make it easy to me to get dots of glue on this little bitty die cut, or thin, very thin die cut. It's not little, it's just very thin. But having the right tool for the right job makes quick work and easy work. Then we're going to stack up some cones as well. I'd cut way more pieces that I needed, but I would rather have more pieces than not enough, and then have to pull everything out and die cut some more, and that's just a hassle. So put some more glue on those cross marks that I'm going to adhere to the cone, and then I'm going to also just glue all of the scoops onto the cone so we can get our double cone effect. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if you like a double scoop cone or a single scoop cone, like one big single scoop, or do you prefer a double scoop with 2 different types of ice cream? I like a one big scoop and a waffle cone, and yeah, that's my jam. So now that we've gotten all of our pieces of our ice cream cone assembled with, including our little cherry on top there, now it's time to bring in a little bit more action to this die. So we're going to add an action wobble to the back of this ice cream cone. I love action wobblers, but I just don't know why I don't use them that often. I have some in my stash, but I just don't know why I don't use them. This is the large. They come in a small and a large. And what it is just like a spring that is made of plastic that has some adhesive backing on it that can be attached to die cuts to make them have some action on your card. So there's a part that you stick to your die cut. So I've already done that there. And then there's a part that where you peel back the protective tape, and then you can attach it to your card panel. You can use them for gift bags. You can use them for then the options and the ways that you can use them are numerous. So adding that action wobbler gives another level of interactivity to this card. So dimension, we got interactivity. We're just all over the place, and I love it today. So we're going to create our sentiment using this Sweet Scoops stamp set, also from scrapbook.com. We're going to stamp our sentiment using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And I decided to go with the Treat Yourself sentiment that we're going to add to the top. Now this sentiment is already in the shape of a banner, so we're just going to trim this down a little bit to make sure that that feature stands out. So I'm going to use my Tim Holtz mini trimmer to do that. Again, this is another one of your desktop devices or crafting apparatus that makes quick work of creating your crafts. Now, you know there was going to be some more dimension and added to this card by adding some foam tape to the back of our panel. So that's what I'm doing here. I've also added some to the back of our sentiment strip. And now we're just going to adhere the sentiment strip to our card base. Our card base is made using Accent Opaque 120-pound weight cardstock. And again, I'll have all of the products that I'm using today listed and linked below for you in the description box. So once I adhere the panel to our card base, I'm going to also add our sentiment, which is going to add some more dimension to the card. And once I do that, our card will be complete. I'm going to make sure that my sentiment is out of the way of the stem of the cherry so that it doesn't impede the wobble of the action wobbler. And with that, you guys, our card for the Summer Sizzle is complete. I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. As always, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Delta Crafter, as well as on my website, thedeltacrafter.com. Please make sure you stop by all of the other participants' videos. You guys are going to be so blown away by all their creations. I'll also have my Etsy shop link below where you can pick up that color combo guide that I mentioned earlier. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and until next time, everyone, enjoy!